Last week, the Fed announced positive changes to increase access of the municipal facility and the Main Street facilities. And yesterday, the Federal Reserve announced that the Main Street lending program opened for lender registration and requested feedback on loan terms for nonprofit organizations. Can you provide me a timeline for when the Main Street facilities, the municipal facility, and the nonprofit loans will be fully operational?
Sure. So the municipal facility is up and operating. It's available to be approached by the eligible municipal entities, and one has done so far. We've done one financing, and we're open to others. So that facility is fully open. As you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, the Main Street facility opened for lender registration yesterday. We expect that process to take a couple of days, and we encourage lenders who have completed that process to begin immediately making loan to eligible borrowers. And we expect and hope that will happen. Then I would say in a week or so, the liquidity facility itself will be available to purchase 95% interest in those loans. So that is effectively up and running now. In terms of nonprofits, what we did, as you saw, was yesterday was to put out a proposal to include nonprofits in the Main Street facility, and we've asked for comment on it. So there are two facilities in the nonprofit part of Main Street that have essentially the same terms as the for-profit part of Main Street, but the requirements to be an eligible borrower are different and are more tailored to the financial characteristics of nonprofits. The ratio of liquid assets to debt, the amount of liquidity on hand, the operating statistics of the nonprofit. So this is something we're very much looking forward to getting feedback from the public on. And when we turn that around, it'll take some time to get it right, but I expect we'll move pretty expeditiously on it over the next month or so.
All right, thank you, and I appreciate your attention to these. Obviously, these are very critical, and I hope to see them moving aggressively as quickly as possible. I'd like to turn to the economy itself right now. You've made some comments in recent days. On June 10th, the Fed released economic projections of the Federal Reserve Board members and the Federal Reserve Bank presidents under their individual assessments of the projected monetary policy. Most of the Fed's economic projections forecast the unemployment rate falling to around 9 or 10% later this year from a high of 14.7% in April. Could you just elaborate a bit on your projections for what the economic outlook is right now? And could you take into consideration whether there's a differential between the short-term outlook versus the longer-term outlook and how you approach this?
Yes, so I think to me anyway, it's helpful to think of it in sort of three stages. The first stage was the shutdown, and we've seen what that would produce, which is very sharp declines in economic activity and very large increases in unemployment. So that was Q2, and we may be reaching a bottom on that now. After that, it's reasonable to expect, and this does assume, by the way, all of this assumes that the virus remains reasonably well under control and doesn't experience an event where virus rises widely across the nation. Let's just assume that doesn't happen. Okay. So the first part is the shutdown. The second part will be the bounce back. And you should see during that period the economy opening, stores opening, all kinds of different economic entities opening, and people going back to work. We're seeing apparently the beginning of that with the May employment report, and we would expect to see large numbers of people during this period coming back to work during this second period of the call it the bounce back or the beginning of the recovery. Then we think, and I think most, if not all, forecasters think that will leave us well short of where we were in February, full employment with the economy really working broadly across all of its areas. And the reason for that is just that there are parts of the economy that will struggle to return to their old ways of activity because they involve getting people together closely in large groups. And so it's going to take some time to rebuild confidence and that kind of thing. So those are the three stages I would see. So that right now we seem to be in the beginning. We may be in the beginning of that second stage. And I would say this morning's retail sales number is more evidence that that first of all that the legislation that you passed, both the PPP and the unemployment insurance and the checks that were sent out, all of that is supporting demand and reopening and economic activity, including retail sales. We had quite a positive report this morning on retail sales. But I would say the last thing I'll say is it's all quite uncertain, but we appear to be entering that second phase of the economy reopening and businesses reopening and spending increasing.